What if the reason you still feel broken is actually proof that you are healing? Stay with me tonight, because what I'm about to tell you might change everything. Hey, I'm really glad you're here. I don't know exactly what tonight looks like for you. Maybe you're lying in bed with the lights off, phone screen the only thing glowing in the room. Maybe you've been crying and you're not even entirely sure why. Maybe you thought you were doing better, and then something small happened. A song, a smell, a memory that came out of nowhere and knocked the wind right out of you. And now here you are, awake, wondering when this is going to stop feeling so heavy. I want you to know something before we go any further tonight. You didn't stumble onto this video by accident. Something in you, some quiet, wise, tired little part of you, reached for something soft tonight instead of something numb. Instead of scrolling mindlessly or going down a rabbit hole that leaves you feeling worse, you chose this. That matters. That is not a small thing. Because there are nights when the bravest thing you can do is simply reach for something gentle, and that's what you did. So whatever is going on in your life right now, whatever chapter you're in, however long this particular storm has been going, I want you to take a slow breath with me. You don't have to have it figured out tonight. You don't have to be further along. You don't have to be okay yet. You just have to be here, and you are. So let's sit together for a little while. I've got you. Let me describe something to you. Tell me if this sounds familiar. You wake up in the morning, and for just 1 second, maybe 2, everything is fine. And then it hits. That weight. That hollow, aching awareness of everything that has happened. Everything that is still unresolved. Everything you've lost or are still losing. And you lie there thinking, I should be over this by now. Other people move on faster. What is wrong with me? Or maybe it's not mornings. Maybe it's the middle of the day, when you're in the grocery store or in a meeting or laughing at something with a friend. And suddenly this wave of grief or loneliness or anger rises up from nowhere, and you have to smile through it, swallow it, push it back down and pray nobody notices. Maybe you've become really good at that, at looking fine on the outside while something inside you is quietly, constantly aching. Maybe you replay conversations in your head, things he said, things she did, the moment everything changed, and you analyze it from every angle trying to understand, trying to find the thing you missed that would explain it all, the thing that would make it make sense. And maybe the worst part, the part you haven't told anyone, is that sometimes you feel like you don't even recognize yourself anymore. Like the person you were before all of this. She feels very far away, and you miss her, you grieve her, you wonder if she's ever coming back. I hear you. What you're describing, that is not what broken looks like. I know it feels like it. But what you're actually describing, every single bit of it, is what healing looks like when it's in its most tender, most raw, most vulnerable stage. And I need you to hear that. Really hear it. Can I be honest with you about something? Somewhere along the way, most of us were sold a completely false picture of what healing is supposed to look like. We were shown the highlight reel, the transformation, the before and after, the woman who went through hell and came out glowing, journaling in a sunlit cafe, suddenly thriving, suddenly healed. And nobody showed us the middle part. Nobody warned us about the in-between. The weeks where you feel better and then worse and then better again and you don't know if you're making progress or going backwards. The random Tuesday where you're completely fine until 9 p.m. and then you're on the bathroom floor wondering how you got there. The way grief doesn't move in a straight line. It spirals. It loops back. It surprises you. Nobody showed us that healing sometimes looks like cancelling plans because you just don't have it in you today. It looks like sleeping too much or not enough. It looks like being angry at someone you still love. It looks like laughing genuinely at something and then feeling guilty for laughing because some part of you still feels like you shouldn't be okay yet. Healing looks like contradiction. It looks like confusion. It looks like 2 steps forward and 1 step back, and sometimes 3 steps back, and then somehow, eventually forward again. The problem isn't that you're healing wrong. The problem is that no one ever showed you what healing actually looks like. And because the messy middle never gets talked about, you look at your own messy middle and you think something has gone wrong. You think you should be further along. You think you should feel better by now. You think other people handle this better. They don't. They're just quieter about their messy middle too. You're not behind. You're not failing at this. You're in it. And being in it, really feeling it, is the only way through. I want to speak directly to you for a moment. If you've been in a relationship with someone who made you question your own reality. If you've been told you were too sensitive, too emotional, too much. If you've had your memory questioned, your feelings dismissed, your perception twisted until you genuinely didn't know what was true anymore. If you loved someone who could be the most wonderful person in the world one day and then cold and cruel the next, and you spent years, maybe months, trying to figure out what you did wrong to cause that switch, trying to be better, trying to be enough, walking on eggshells in your own relationship, in your own home, in your own life. If you finally left or were discarded, and now people around you don't fully understand why you're still struggling. Because from the outside, the relationship might have looked fine. He might have looked charming. She might have seemed like a good friend. And you're left holding all this invisible damage, trying to explain wounds that don't have visible scars. I need you to hear this. What happened to you was real. Your confusion is real. Your pain is real. The fact that it's taking time, a long time, maybe longer than you expected, does not mean you are weak. It means you are deeply affected by something genuinely harmful. When someone systematically dismantles your sense of self, when someone weaponizes your love, your trust, your empathy against you, rebuilding doesn't happen overnight. It can't. You're not just healing from a relationship ending. You're rebuilding your entire relationship with reality, with your own perceptions, with your own worth. That is enormous work, and you are doing it. Even on the nights when it doesn't feel like it, especially on those nights, you are doing it. The fact that you can now name what happened to you, that is not nothing. That is everything. There's this particular kind of hurt that doesn't get talked about enough, and I want to talk about it tonight because I think you know exactly what I mean. It's the night you thought you were finally okay. You'd had a few good days, maybe even a good week. You felt lighter. You laughed without it feeling hollow. You started making plans. You thought, maybe this is it. Maybe I've turned a corner. And then something happened. Something small, usually. A song that played in a restaurant. Seeing someone who looked like them from behind. Getting a notification from a date you'd saved in your phone. A birthday, an anniversary, that you'd forgotten to delete. Or maybe nothing external at all. Just waking up and feeling that weight again. Heavy and familiar, like it never left. And the grief that follows isn't just about what you lost. It's about losing that feeling of being okay. It's about feeling like you went backwards. It's about the exhaustion of thinking you'd climbed out, only to find yourself at the bottom again. Can I tell you what's actually happening in those moments? You didn't go backwards. You spiraled forward. Healing is not a straight road. It's a spiral staircase. You pass the same emotional landmarks again and again. The grief, the anger, the longing, the confusion. But each time you pass them, you're passing them from a higher place. You're not at the same level you were before. Even when it feels identical, you're not starting over. The fact that you had those good days, that is evidence. Those days exist now. They are proof of something shifting inside you, even if tonight doesn't feel like it. Those good days are not a tease, they are a preview. And there will be more of them. There will be more days where the weight is just lighter, where you feel like yourself again. A new version of yourself, maybe. A softer, wiser, more beautifully complicated version. But her, unmistakably her. I want to gently ask you something. When was the last time you were kind to your body? Not in a productivity way. Not in an I should work out and eat better way. I mean genuinely, softly kind. Like the way you would be kind to someone you loved who was going through something hard. Because here's something that doesn't get said enough. Emotional pain lives in the body. It is not just in your thoughts, not just in your memories. It is in your shoulders that won't release, your jaw that you clench at night, the chest tightness that shows up when someone says something that sounds just a little too much like something he used to say. Your body has been carrying this with you, every single day, quietly absorbing the stress, the hypervigilance, the heartbreak, the fear. If you've been through trauma, emotional abuse, a painful ending, betrayal, your nervous system has been working over time. It learned to be on alert. It learned that the world was uncertain, that people could hurt you, that love could become something sharp and dangerous. And so it stayed ready, watchful, braced. You might notice this as anxiety, as the inability to fully relax even when nothing is wrong, as feeling on edge for reasons you can't explain, as trouble sleeping even when you're exhausted, as a kind of restlessness that never quite goes away. That is not weakness. That is your body doing exactly what it was designed to do to protect you. But it's okay to start telling it, slowly, gently, that it's safe now, that you are working on this, that it can start to let go. Tonight, if you can, put a hand on your chest, feel your heartbeat. You are here, you are alive, you survived everything that tried to take something from you, and your body, this remarkable, resilient body, carried you through all of it. Be a little gentle with it tonight. It has earned that. When a relationship ends, especially one that hurt you, people talk about the obvious losses, the person, the future you planned, the home maybe, the shared friends. But there are losses inside those losses that nobody names, and I think those unnamed losses are some of the heaviest ones to carry. You lost the version of yourself that existed before you knew what that person was capable of. That innocence, that particular brand of open, trusting, hopeful. You can't fully get it back. And mourning her is real and valid and important. You lost the relationship you thought you were in. Not just the relationship itself, the one you believed it was, the one you were fighting so hard to get back to, the one that existed in those early days, or maybe never fully existed at all, and you grieve a love story that was, at least partly, a story you told yourself to survive. You lost time, maybe years you spent trying to fix something unfixable, years you spent shrinking yourself to fit into a space that was always going to be too small for who you actually are. And grieving lost time has a particular kind of sting to it, because it comes with a side of anger at yourself, even though none of it was your fault. You lost your sense of safety and love, that ease, that ability to just be loved without waiting for the other shoe to drop. That feels different now, and rebuilding it takes time. You lost your confidence in your own perception. If someone spent months or years telling you that what you saw wasn't real, what you felt wasn't reasonable, what you knew wasn't true, the aftermath of that is a deep, disorienting distrust of your own mind. And learning to trust yourself again is one of the most courageous things a person can do. None of these losses are small. Every single one of them deserves to be grieved. So if you are still grieving, still sitting with the weight of what was taken from you, please know that you are not being dramatic. You are not stuck. You are honouring real losses, and that is part of how you heal. Can I ask you something without any judgment? Do you find yourself going back, not physically, but in your mind, replaying the good parts, remembering the way it felt in the beginning, or in those rare moments when everything was right, wondering if maybe it could have been different, wondering if maybe it still could be, and then feeling ashamed of yourself for that, thinking, why am I still thinking about this? Why can't I just let it go? What does it say about me that I still want someone who hurt me? I want to tell you what it actually says about you. It says you are human. It says you loved someone. It says your heart is not a machine that can just switch off because your mind knows something isn't right. And if you've been through narcissistic abuse specifically, there is something you need to understand about why walking away feels so impossibly hard, even after you've left. The kind of connection created in that dynamic isn't like a normal relationship ending. The cycle of idealization and devaluation, being put on a pedestal and then torn down over and over, creates a trauma bond, a neurological attachment that functions similarly to addiction. You're not weak for feeling attached. You're not pathetic for missing them. Your brain was literally conditioned to seek them out. Knowing that doesn't make the longing disappear, but maybe it makes you a little more compassionate toward yourself for feeling it. Maybe it helps you stop saying what is wrong with me and start saying I understand why this is hard. You don't have to stop loving the idea of who they could have been. You just have to keep choosing yourself anyway. You can grieve a love and still know it wasn't good for you. Both things can be true. They are both true. And holding both of those truths at once without resolution, without a tidy ending, that is one of the hardest things a heart can do. You're doing it every single day. I want to tell you about who you're becoming, not who you'll be when you're fully healed, because that's a destination that doesn't quite exist the way we think it does, but who you are already becoming right now in the middle of all of this. You are becoming someone with a kind of depth that only comes from having survived something, a woman who knows what it feels like to be at the bottom, and who also knows, therefore, what it means to climb. That is not something you can read about. You can't shortcut it. It only comes from living it. You're becoming someone who knows her own worth, not from never having had it questioned, but from having it questioned, having it dismantled, and beginning to rebuild it from the ground up. That kind of knowing is different. It's quieter. It doesn't need to be performed or validated. It just is. You're becoming someone with extraordinary empathy, someone who will one day sit across from a friend going through her own dark night and know, really know, what to say. Someone who won't minimize her pain or rush her through it, because you know what it feels like when someone does that to you. You are becoming someone with boundaries, not the kind built out of coldness or fear, but the kind built out of a hard-won understanding of what you need, what you deserve, and what you will no longer accept. Those boundaries are still forming. They're still tender. But they exist now in a way they didn't before. And you are becoming someone who chooses herself. Not perfectly, not every day, but more and more, in the small decisions and the large ones. In the moments you say no when before you would have said yes to keep the peace. In the moments you speak your truth even when your voice shakes. She is not someone you will become someday. She is someone you are already, quietly, becoming, in the middle of this, because of this. Look at what you're already carrying, and look at how you're still here. I want to read you a list, and I want you to actually let these land, not just hear them, but let them in. Even if part of you pushes back, even if your brain starts immediately listing the reasons why each one doesn't apply to you, just let them in. You have survived 100% of your hardest days so far, every single one, even the days you were certain you wouldn't, even the days that lasted forever. You are still here. The love you gave, however it was received, however it was used against you, was real, and it was good. The capacity to love deeply is not a flaw. It is one of the most powerful things you carry. You're not too sensitive. You're appropriately sensitive to things that were genuinely harmful. There is a difference. You're allowed to not be okay. You don't owe anyone okayness, not on a timeline, not ever. Something good is still coming for you. I know that might sound hollow right now. I know it might make you roll your eyes a little. That's okay. You don't have to believe it tonight. Just leave a small crack in the door for it. You are someone worth knowing, worth staying for, worth choosing. And the fact that someone failed to see that, or saw it, and chose to exploit it rather than honor it, says everything about them and absolutely nothing about your worth. You're not behind in life. There is no schedule. There is no right timeline for healing or loving or building a life. You're exactly where you need to be right now, in this exact moment, doing exactly what you need to do, even if that thing is simply surviving tonight. And you're not alone in this. Right now, tonight, there are women all over the world sitting in the same quiet dark, holding the same weight, reaching for the same softness. You are so not alone. I want to be honest with you about something, because I don't want to just tell you pretty things that feel good in the moment. I want to give you something real. Healing asks things of you, hard things. And I think part of why it's so exhausting is that nobody fully prepares you for what those things actually are. Healing asks you to grieve without a guaranteed outcome, to feel the full weight of what happened without knowing for certain that something better is waiting on the other side. That takes courage, real courage. Healing asks you to sit with discomfort instead of numbing it, and we live in a world that is very, very good at offering us ways to not feel things. Scrolling, alcohol, overworking, staying busy, jumping into something new before you're ready. Healing asks you to notice when you're reaching for something to avoid feeling and to choose feeling instead, even when feeling is harder. Healing asks you to tell the truth to yourself about what happened, about what you knew and didn't want to admit you knew, about the ways you abandoned yourself to stay in something that wasn't good for you, not to punish yourself, but to understand yourself, because understanding yourself is how you make different choices going forward. Healing asks you to be patient with yourself in a way that might feel completely foreign if you've spent years being patient with someone else at the expense of yourself. And healing, this is the part nobody talks about. Healing asks you to eventually, at your own pace, with no pressure, with no timeline, begin to open again. Not to the person who hurt you, not to pretending everything is fine, but to the possibility of joy, of connection, of trusting again, slowly and carefully, with the wisdom of everything you've learned. Not because what happened was okay, but because you deserve a full life, and a full life requires an open heart. You don't have to be there yet. You might not be there for a while. That is completely, perfectly fine. Just know that the opening, when it comes, will be more intentional, more grounded, more beautifully chosen than anything that came before it. I want to end tonight with something a little different. I want to write you a letter, a real one, for right now, for tonight, for exactly where you are. Dear you, I know tonight is hard. I know the quiet of late night has a way of amplifying everything, every regret, every fear, every question that doesn't have an answer yet. I know you're tired in a way that sleep doesn't always fix, that bone-deep, soul-level tired that comes from carrying something heavy for too long. I want you to know that I see you, not the version of you that has it together, not the version you present to the world, the real you, the one sitting here right now, a little raw, a little worn, still somehow trying to find something to hold on to. That version of you is remarkable. I mean that. The fact that you are still looking for light, still searching for understanding, still reaching for something that might help you feel a little less alone, that is not weakness. That is one of the most quietly heroic things a person can do. You are not broken. I know that's what it feels like. I know the evidence seems to point that way on nights like this. But broken things don't search for healing. Broken things don't feel. Broken things don't love and grieve and reach and try. You do all of those things, which means you are not broken. You are healing. And healing is not a passive thing. It is active and brave and uncomfortable and relentless. It is something you are doing right now, just by being willing to sit with your own pain instead of running from it. Tomorrow morning things might not look dramatically different. The weight might still be there. That's okay. You don't need a miracle overnight. You just need tonight. And tonight, you have this. You have this quiet space, and this gentle reminder, and the truth, the real, unwavering truth, that you're going to be okay. Not because everything will fix itself, but because you are someone who finds her way. You always have, and you're not finished finding it. Get some rest if you can. Let tomorrow be tomorrow. Tonight you did enough. You are enough. You always have been, with so much gentleness, someone who believes in you completely. If this video found you at the right moment tonight, if even one part of it made you feel a little less alone, will you do something for me? Leave a comment below. It can be as simple as, I needed this tonight. You might never know how much your comment helps the next woman who finds this video and scrolls down to see if anyone else felt what she's feeling. And if you want more of this, more late night comfort, more gentle reminders that you are further along than you think, subscribe and turn on notifications. There's a whole community of women here walking this road together. You're not doing this alone. Come back whenever you need to. I'll be here.